Listeners, welcome back to the Magic Story Podcast, your guide to the planes, characters, and stories of Magic's multiverse. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Natalie.
And I'm your other co-host, Harless. And today, we're helping you prepare for Lorwyn Eclipsed. It's a celebration of everything about Lorwyn, both big and small. Or, to put that in Lorwyn terms, fairies and giants.
We've already put out 2 episodes discussing the plane's history, one which covered our first visit back in the 2000s, and another as a primer for Lorwyn Eclipsed, featuring Wizard's own Neil LaPlatte Johnson and Deborah Garcia. It's a lot of Lorwyn content, but that's mainly because it's hard to find people who aren't itching to talk about this set.
That's so true. Now, we've been releasing narrated versions of all of Lorwyn Eclipsed's main stories written by Shannon McGuire. She's the ingenious mind behind the stories of the Raven Man reveal from Dominaria United, Tangles, Phyrexia, All Will Be One, Murders at Karloff Manor, Duskborn House of Horror, Asmir and Grant, and side stories for March of the Machine, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and Tarkir Dragonstorm. And I think I got it all in there.
So just a few. Just a few. And if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably read her work. And you can listen to it right here on the Magic Story Podcast, narrated by Tatiana Gray. They're also narrating the 3 side stories we're publishing as part of preview season. So settle in with a nice cup of tea, a booster pack, and enjoy listening to these stories.
Sounds like my type of night. And for today, we're going to talk about something a bit more tangible. Lorwyn Eclipsed is a return to form for Magic, featuring classic artists and art styles, some of my favorites. And that even extends to the set's Booster Fun treatments.
Now, one of the set's more unique treatments is its Fable frame cards. These combine a brand new stylized frame with some very thematic Lorwyn artwork. We thought that for today's episode, we should put a spotlight on these cards. Let's conjure up an example. Here is the default frame, main set version of Bitterbloom Bearer.
Bitterbloom Bearer is a 1/1 for 2 black. It is a creature type fairy rogue. It has flash, flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 blue and black fairy creature token with flying. It also has flavor text. Petals burst in evening hours, with flitting things so fickle and sour.
But much like how Lorwyn also has Shadowmoor, this card also has a Fable frame version. Now, Harless and I could, and likely will, gush about that version, but we wanted to bring on some experts in how Booster Fun cards get made. So please welcome our wonderful friends from the Booster Fun team.
Yeah, hello. My name's Dalton Pencarinha, and I'm a card frame illustrator on the Booster Fun team. I had the absolute privilege of working on the Fabled frame for Lorwyn Eclipsed with our ever-talented team of Booster Fun ADs. With us returning to the plane of Lorwyn, we really wanted to focus on those playful, fanciful aspects of high fantasy. We were really inspired by high fantasy illustrators like Brian Froud, Edmund Dullack, and Charles Vess.
Okay, wait, I have to interrupt you because you just said my favorite artist, which is Charles Vess. So I actually grew up like 1 town over from where Charles Vess lives. I used to work at a comic book store. He used to come in and I would just be like, be cool, be cool. He's such a nice person, but I mean, obviously on top of that, his art is just so specific and so ethereal. And it really does, like you said, it hits that storybook vibe just so well. So I'm very, very excited that that was a piece of inspiration for this set. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that these illustrators capture that, like I said, that playfulness, that whimsy of their illustrations, we really wanted to capture that in the frame, but also in the art that really plays into that child book illustration style of things.
Hello, I'm Aliana Rood. I am an art director on the Booster Fun team, and it's really amazing to be able to work with all the talent on our team, especially Dalton, my favorite. We wanted the art style for this treatment to have a very dreamlike feel, so pairing the frame with a more modern fairy tale art aesthetic really helped accomplish that. Many of the artists that we used are children's book artists and really amazing and hitting at that whimsy level that we were looking for.
Some listeners might not be aware of what Booster Fun is, and this was an initiative that officially kicked off way back with Throne of Eldraine. And I'd love for you to tell the audience a bit about what Booster Fun is all about.
Booster Fun is primarily focused on pushing the boundaries of the standard expectations of a Magic card. So basically anything you see in the wild that uses unique art styles or frame treatments comes from our team. We concept and create custom frames that are themed for each set and explore just insane art styles. Anything is on the table, and also experiment with some rad print treatments that have been coming out in recent stuff.
Yeah, so we don't just try to delight our fans with these showcase frames and alternate arts that we develop for Booster Fun. We also like to strive to make sure that fans have a way to express themselves through those different treatments and styles. It's always fun to think about a group of friends playing this game all together, and in a pivotal moment in the middle of a very long session, throwing down a blinged out showcase version of whatever card they really love. And, maybe it's a pivotal moment where they win the game altogether, or maybe it's just a moment when they want to share what they've accomplished with buying this or finding this or pulling this card. So we really love that experience, and we want to make sure that we always give players the ability to find that kind of thing in a booster pack.
It's me. I'm that player.
I was about to say, you might be describing me.
Yeah. It's just so much fun to, obviously, like, there are players who are like, I want the mechanic and I want the win. But for me personally, for Natalie, for a lot of Magic players, it's so much more fun when you get that special version that nobody else at the table has, and you're kicking your friend's butt with that, and it's like insult to injury,
Yeah, you get style points on top of the win. Yeah. Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
And to your point of what you were saying earlier, like having it feel personalized to my own style when I'm winning makes it just feel more unique and more special, which I love. So Magic superfans might know about what we internally call exploratory design, which is where a design team explores the possible directions a set can go in. And again, so if you want to kind of put it in perspective overall, a game design team is going to try new mechanics. A narrative design team is going to test different stories. But it's my understanding that the Booster Fun team has its own completely different exploratory process.
So yeah, we really like to start our design process at the brainstorm phase. And so what that means, we have quite a few different brainstorms. Some of them are shorter 1-hour sessions that really just get the feel for the set. But then we have this larger 5-hour brainstorm. And this is where our team really comes together to go wide with ideas. Sometimes we have an idea that's very specific and we want to zero in on exactly what we want that to look like. And then other times we are just kind of blue skying the whole process. We're coming up with ideas that maybe feel off the wall in the moment, but once we refine them, feel a little bit closer to the set in a way that can be really resonant with fans. So it's definitely a large undertaking, and we are definitely tired at the end of it. But we really try to get all the ideas out there. We never, we have a saying in the office that's no umbrellas. We want to make sure that people feel good about expressing the ideas that they want to express and not having anyone saying, well, what about this? We don't do that here. That's just, it's all about the quantity of ideas.
Once we've exhausted our brains of coming up with this giant pool of ideas, our team director, Tom Jankott, takes all those concepts, which we set up on a giant whiteboard, and distills them down to, any of the ideas that really resonate well with the set, and obviously, most importantly, the fans. And then that's when the design process really will begin for us. And we'll start, figuring out art styles, and Dalton will look around and try and pinpoint, frame ideas that work the best and start exploration there. And so it just really kicks everything off once we go from there.
I really love the idea of Tom just kind of staring at these with so many years of expertise in Magic art, and having been a player himself for so long, and really getting to pull in just like, okay, this is a cool idea. This is kind of similar to something we did maybe 20 years ago that was received really well. Maybe we should do a new take on it, or that wasn't received really well, and maybe we should pivot, but there's something here, like maybe there's some way we can pivot on it. I have a visual of Tom with 18 thought bubbles above his head.
staring at that whiteboard with all of the yarn connecting the different ideas.
Yes.
See it process through it.
That's top,
Absolutely.
yeah. So you all test out all of these ideas, right? And then for Lorwyn Eclipsed, you decided to run with these Fable frame cards. And I am so glad you did, because it is such a stunning treatment. I mean, it is up there with some of my all-time faves, like the Art Deco treatment from Streets of New Capenna or the Equinox frame from Midnight Hunt. Like, those are some of my all-time favorite Booster Fun frames that we have done. And so it's saying something that Fable frame cards are up there with them.
They're so cool. They're so, it's one of my favorite styles, is this whimsical, over the top, storybook fantasy, not like the pastoral fantasy that we see on Dominaria or something, right? But it's just so specific. However, I know, because I work here, that taking something from an idea to reality takes a lot of hard work. So once you have this general idea of where you wanted these Fable frames to go, Dalton, how did you go about developing them into something that's actually going to end up on a card that is a playable game piece?
We are a team first. We don't create anything in isolation. So being able to always go back to the team whenever we refine ideas or create things, it's so important how we work together to make those ideas come to life. I just wanted to say that at the top. But bringing it into answering your question, once we get feedback from Tom, and he'll delegate to us what ideas really seem to be those most resonant ideas or those top tier elements. We will then begin the design phase. And what that really means is I kind of go off on my own for a little bit, and I develop out a plethora of sketches. It could be anywhere from 5 sketches. Sometimes it's gotten up to 40s and 50s as far as sketches are concerned. It just depends on how complex the idea is and how many different directions we want to explore before we narrow something down. Once we develop that, however many collection of sketches that we have, we like to. I'll go in and I'll check in with the team, and we'll see what's working. What needs some refinement. Maybe there are some directions I didn't explore yet that the rest of the team is super interested in exploring. And so then I'll go away again and I'll repeat that process anywhere from, 2 to 3 to 4 to 10 times, just depending on, again, how complex the idea is. And once we get that design refined to what the team wants, what I'll do is I'll take that final design, and it's still very rough in this phase. There's no polished edges or anything at this point. It's still just a testing asset. But we'll go throw some dummy text on it, round the corners to make it look like a real Magic card, and then we send it off to the testing team, who does some amazing work on their end to get us feedback from player base.
It's so funny to me that you say, oh, it's not like that polished, because this is the time that I would stop by your desk when you were in the Renton office and be like, wow, this is so cool. Tell me what you're working on. It's just funny to me what y'all think is unpolished versus what us peasants who don't do art think of as unpolished, because even at this phase, it feels very thorough and well thought out, and
it's
you can
gorgeous.
See it forming, into what it's going to be. So, just had to throw that out there. That's why I always bugged you when you were in the office.
No, and I love that. It also reminds us, sometimes we take our job very seriously. We all want to do the best we can, but sometimes it's so nice to have that person come over, look over your shoulder, and be like, well, I might be in my own head thinking, oh, well, maybe this design needs a little bit more refinement. But then when I get that feedback, I'm like, no, we're good. This is where it needs to be.
It's reading how you want it to read it, because you're hearing what someone else who has no idea what you're doing tell you. I see it.
Yeah, and that's what's so important about designing and getting those things tested, is sometimes we have an idea of what we want to develop and create in our head, and we're like, this is going to, whether it be this is going to be the best thing ever, or I'm not so sure about this idea, and then we get testing results back that are like, you're maybe not thinking the exact way.
I always try and guess, and I'm never right with testing results. So
you make a game out of it.
Yeah.
Once we get a direction down and we've figured out where we're going based on the testing results, we'll take whatever assets test best or whatever assets we think are going to be the most successful. And we start to go into rounds of color refinement. So what that means is generally I develop out a testing asset that is, red or green or some color of the color pie. And what I need to do from here is develop out the rest of those colors. And that process can take multiple rounds. It's its own section of the frame process that, like I said, it can take a lot of rounds to get it right. We especially like to compare, white cards to multicolor or gold cards that we like to call them, or artifact cards a lot of the time, because those are like lighter tones. They live in the same color space. And so we have to make sure that we balance those against each other to make sure they look right next to each other. But yeah, it's a fascinating process. It takes sometimes multiple rounds. Sometimes we're lucky and we get like 2 rounds and we've got the colors exactly how we want them.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's a challenge in its own right. And I do want to take a moment right here to call out the PI team, or the print innovation team. We hand our frames off to them after we've developed them, and then they go in and they do all of the print testing and refinement to make sure that those colors print the same way every time. And without them, literally, we could not do this. So I just want to take a moment to tell them thank you.
They do crazy good work. Oh my gosh. That's another desk you can't walk past without being like, whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
They handle the foil treatments, so they're definitely like on the popular side in the office. When you walk past,
they have all the shiny things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But we all know that these frames aren't just being created in isolation, right? It's like we were mentioning, it's a very collaborative effort. Yeah. While Dalton is working on these frames, I'm wondering, Aliana, what kind of things are you seeing, and how does that affect your process?
Well, at this point for us, we sort of have a pretty solid idea on what the art style will be that will go within the frame, and so I'll start really digging into the artist curation part. And for me, the interesting part is like some frames you can kind of have a wide variety of style swings land within the frame and fit well within the frame. Some frames are very tight and you can't really go outside this one art style that you find. And so I feel like the Fable frame definitely landed in the tighter realm. And it was pretty awesome to work with, but also just, being a second set of eyes for Dalton the whole time as well. Just especially when you're a lead on the set, and just a lot of times we just sit there and stare at 20 frame sketches to find the most perfect one. It's really fun.
Well, I think you definitely found the perfect one, because the Fable frame just really shines, even in these mock-ups. Like, the gnarled branches creates this nice, frame, for lack of a better word, for, like, the card's artwork. And I'm really, really curious here at this, step of the process. How do you go about commissioning artwork that works nicely with the frame?
Which you just said was a tighter one in terms of the art style, right? So that sounds a little bit, is it more restricting, or is it, more like almost freeing to say it has to be in this lane?
I don't know if it would go either way, honestly. Like, commissioning for frames, and especially ones as complicated looking as this one, that has all the organic edges and shapes to work around. It's really important to view every sketch of the artwork within the frame right off the bat and send that to the artist. That's really where you're going to catch weird tangents of elements of the art interacting with the frame, and just sort of really giving the artist an idea of how it will. Sometimes we get black and white sketches and sometimes we get color, so it's really interesting, I guess, to see where it's going to go from there. And then I guess the second thing is this frame was very special in the color palette. It was almost kind of like a washed out color pie compared to what a standard magic color pie might look like. And so usually we'll make a little mini style guide and swatch from the actual frame itself to give the artist a range of colors from like dark to mid to light tones to use in their artwork, so that way everything is meshing for the final render.
We tried to neutralize those colors to make it feel a little bit more retro, to make it feel like that classic illustration style, to blend well with the art itself.
Yeah.
And I just, one of the things that we always like to do, and Aliana totally touched on this already, but the idea of viewing the treatment as a whole, not just as like frame and art, but together, how they blend, how they mesh together. Obviously I apologize for all of those organic edges around the sides that you have to avoid tangents and stuff. But yeah, you did an incredible job. I can talk about the frame all day. I have a little bit, but it's always secondary to that beautiful art. And so making sure that shines through is just so important.
Okay, so we've heard the story of Booster Fun, and I think we've done a good job of hyping up this card. So let's look at the Fable frame version of Bitterbloom Bearer. Okay, so in the main set version of Bitterbloom Bearer, it's almost menacing to look at the bearer here, but this one is so whimsical, so dare I say cute, where we get to see a different side of Bitterbloom Bearer with these adorable little puffs of flowers. We get to see it from the side. It still has those insectile proportions, but it's almost like the difference in seeing like a grasshopper on you versus a firefly. Like if you see a grasshopper on you, you're like, but if you see a firefly, you're like,
it's so cute.
Yeah, I've been chosen. It's like almost the vibe difference in these two, and I love it.
Yeah. And it's like, it looks like it's straight out of a children's book. Like y'all had mentioned that was the whole inspiration all along, but oh my gosh, like this art really showcases that children's book style essence, and it just looks like a page right out of a book that I would read as a child. Like, it's just so whimsical and so cute. It's like, I can't help but smile when I look at it.
Yeah. I feel like I would see this on the wall of the nursery.
I know, right? That's exactly what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, come talk to us anytime you want us to gush about your art, because that's what we like to do.
No, but at the end of the day, like, we're designing this stuff so that people can feel that way. Like, we want this to be as resonant as possible with fans. We want them to feel like they can step into this world, and if we can provide another avenue that they can do that in with collectability, that's the goal. That's the perfect moment right there.
I'm definitely going to be opening a lot of packs of this, trying to get the cute Fable frames.
There's also a treatment that I'm hoping that I can pull now. I don't know that I'll be able to. It's serialized, but the Rebecca Gay Bitterbloom Bearer is perfect.
That one is just... I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so beautiful and so shiny and so gorgeous. Yeah, should check it out. So I know that we, along with a lot of standard players right now, are loving Bitterbloom Bearer, but there is another card that we want to highlight that showcases the clash of colors in full display. So I really wanted to check out Ashling's Command, and here it is.
Ashling's Command is absolutely gorgeous card. The artist, Adelina Larius, is amazing. She's a children's book illustrator and has done a picture book for The Secret Garden, which is one of my favorite books growing up. The first sketch she sent in basically arrived perfect. There was some slight posing change to sort of, balance out the composition, but that was it. It was also had some color to it already. It was exciting to see right off the bat. I think it was just really my favorite part of commissioning art is seeing the sketch to the final render and the process to that. So it was just amazing to just get to see that for this card. She also worked on another card that is the Twin Flame Travelers, which almost has a very similar concept, but they're actually interacting with each other. The only difference is the background is a singular color. That was just a conceptual thing. We specifically wanted Ashling's Command to have that duality effect, which I think was very successful.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
yes.
nailed it.
Yes. Yeah, the way the card looks, like you could, please don't, but like you could fold it in half, and it like perfectly matches with the frame and the art when you go down the middle of that card. Is just so stunning, especially, after this conversation of knowing that, yes, of course, these are created collaboratively, but you're also still working separately to create both of these pieces. And it's just so incredible how something like this comes together. And that's why we wanted to show Ashling's Command, is because it's just stunning. And then you look at Twin Flame Traveler and you see it all intertwined and it still works with the frame. And it's just absolutely stunning.
It's cool. I mean, sometimes I always joke because it's like, I will sit there and stare at something in frame for like 5 straight minutes in silence and not say anything and just really processing how well those two mesh together. I can't obviously do that for every card, but it's just like, sometimes you just get stuck. on this card, and you're like, I gotta figure it out.
You got pulled into Lorwyn.
Yeah.
I mean this in the best way, where it seems like the frame and the art are one. Like, they're not two separate things. It's almost like they were created just like in tandem, and they just blend so perfectly into one another, where it's almost like you kind of forget that there's a frame there, but it looks so beautiful, you know? So I mean that in the best way, Dalton. You did phenomenally with this. It's like, it just blended so well into the art, and vice versa.
Awesome. You said all the right things. That's so sweet.
Trying to be our best friend.
Yeah.
It was so good, I forgot it was there.
Well, that's good design, right? Like, that's what they say about good design, is if it's bad is when you notice it, right?
That's right. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that as the frame designer, that, you know, sometimes we make things really bright on the frame, and we want things to really shout at you. One, for playability, that sort of thing, but also just because we want like those bright colors, you know. And sometimes, like with this frame, we had to tone it down a little bit to make sure that it isn't overpowering the art, the beautiful art that is designed and created for this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, the fact that, I mean, minimum 3 people, frame design, art director, artist, worked on this one piece, and it looks like one person just sat down and did this, is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that calls back to like I stated before with the PI team, the print innovation team. You know, they're the ones that balance the colors too. So like, I hand them off and they tweak them. You know, they get them as close as they can to our version, but they still have to shift those. And I know the digital artists also work on submitted artwork to make sure that the colors are balanced there. Like, there's so many people that
text has to come in and make that not overpower everything else. Like, the amount of teams that touch a card that can be this cohesive, it's wild.
I was going to say this, that this is the technical artist team. They when they get the frames, they add text to it and refine things and make sure that things are readable. Those folks have to deal with some wacky font choices that we come up with sometimes.
Yes.
A great example is EOE, Edge of Eternities. You know, they handled a lot of the stellar sites and stellar poster sites treatment, and there's some fun text on there. So making sure that that's readable and they get that right it's amazing. It's its own form of, I'm going to say the word, wizardry of creating things and getting them just right. I do not understand how they do it.
So Lorwyn has such an iconic look and feel to it, and I am so glad that the Booster Fun team was able to contribute to that plane's visuals in Lorwyn Eclipsed. Your team really poured their heart and soul into these cards, and it shows, and I just adore how they all turned out. And speaking of adorable, I just couldn't help but we had to show this card.
This is my personal favorite card of the Fable Frame series, which is the Sapling Nursery. It's illustrated by Julie Ben-Bassat, and I mean, I don't really need to say much except look how cute the little
look at those little
trees
saplings.
I know. I mean, just the juxtaposition. I think like the main set version is also really amazing, but kind of has this creepy element to it with the babies, and so just seeing them is just like little round potatoes with treetops on top of their head is my favorite thing. And just the wind blowing through and like the drama of the storm around them and how happy they are. It's just like the best.
I love the personification of nature elements, and this does it so well, where you're like, yeah, if I feel like if I wandered into this grove, I'd be like, okay, all right, that makes sense. That's what I expect.
This is happening. Like. Yeah.
To make friends with the trees immediately, so that you could make friends with the tinier trees.
Listen, if they're evil, they could lure me in a heartbeat, to be honest. And I'd be like, okay, I guess I'm an evil caretaker of evil saplings now, because they're just so cute. Thankfully, I think these are some sweet little babies, but every single art piece we looked at today looks just straight out of the plane of Lorwyn. Like, these are, to me, what Magic cards that were actually created by elves and Kithkin would look like. They're just a wonderful, beautiful, flavorful addition to what is already an amazing set, and I just can't wait for our players to get their hands on these cards.
Oh, me neither. It'll be so exciting. I just can't wait to see all the buzz about it.
There's going to be a lot.
Hopefully all about the saplings. I'm like, I just need those guys to shine.
Next up, we'll get an Oops All Sapling set.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So I know that it took a lot. We talked a lot about collaboration here today, and we know that the collectability team doesn't work in isolation. So Aliana, Dalton, are there any like shout outs that you want to give to other teams, or any last thoughts here before we wrap up?
First, obviously, want to shout out just the Booster Fun team alone. It's just I've never worked with such a strong creative team. Everybody's so welcoming of your weirdness, and it's amazing. And Tom has so much trust in our weirdness, and it's flattering. And it's just really awesome to make so many beautiful things with these people.
You kind of took mine, right? I would also like to shout out the Booster Fun team. No, you nailed it. That's our weirdness is what makes our team special, and I could not imagine doing this job with anyone else. It's truly a fantastic team. So I've shouted out a lot of different teams today, but I also want to shout out the world building team. Without their work that they do at the very beginning of a set's creation, we would not be able to design the things that we design. They create so many beautiful visuals and different design motifs that we pull from throughout the process that, like I said, we could not do it without them. I also just want to call out the PI team, the Print Innovation team. They're incredible. I've already talked about them at length, but fantastic team that we work with on a daily basis. They're also responsible for a lot of those headliner cards that you see. Very, very cool stuff, always with the shiny. It's awesome. But also the technical artist team, again, wizards, amazing. The digital artist team, which not only help work on refining those art pieces and making them blend even more with the they also sometimes help us with testing assets. There's some very talented illustrators on the team that create some of those assets for us as well. So I just wanted to shout those teams out. They really do incredible work. And again, we would not be able to do what we do without them.
Also, my final shout out obviously is to all the artists that we work with, because our cards would be nothing without them. And they're just some of the most talented, amazing, beautiful stuff that I've ever seen, and feel very lucky to work with all of them and just very grateful.
Well, this might sound cheesy, but the biggest problem I have is always finding the cards I want to collect, because I always want all of them. So thanks for making my life so difficult, y'all. You can see all the cards from the set in the Lorwyn Eclipsed card image gallery and find your new favorites there.
And if you want to find your new favorite characters, Tam stands, we know you're out there, you can re-listen to the set story written by Shauna McGuire and narrated by Tatiana Gray. We'll talk more about these recent developments in Magic Story in the coming months, but for now, just stay tuned. There may be some surprises in store sooner than you think.
Speaking of in-store, Lorwyn Eclipsed will be hitting the shelves of your local game store. Online retailers like Amazon and elsewhere, Magic products are sold on January 23rd, 2026. Play boosters, collector boosters, commander decks, and more are all available for pre-order now, so don't forget to pick up your favorites.
Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us on this extracurricular extravaganza. We'll see you in the future as we head to new corners of the multiverse, but until then,
have a magical day.